Hi, I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and I'm here with Taylor's new AD17 Blacktop guitar. This guitar is part of a brand new, complete line of guitars for Taylor called the American Dream series. And it's possible that something similar was already in the works in one way or another. But the American Dream series really was inspired by the fact that Taylor, like so many other businesses, recently had to shut down for several weeks due to COVID-19 and dealing with all the different logistics and challenges that has brought for so many businesses. Has brought Bob Taylor back to the very earliest days of the company, which were started in a little shop in San Diego, California called the American Dream. Bob Taylor started building guitars while he was still in high school. Some of those guitars are remarkable. I've played one of them. And began working at this little shop. It was kind of a luthier cooperative in San Diego that several other guitar makers worked in called the American Dream. As I mentioned, it was run by a luthier named Sam Radding. And when Sam was ready to move on from that business in 1974, Taylor and Kurt Listock, who he had already met at that time working at the American Dream, bought the business originally with a third partner who didn't end up staying with Taylor for very long. And the result is Taylor Guitars, and it's of course, one of the biggest success stories in the history of the guitar. Now, Bob and Kurt have continued to be business partners through all this time, more than 40 years, 45 years, and certainly remember what it was like to face a lot of challenges as you're growing a company. And Bob has said that during this COVID-19 shutdown, a lot of those memories came back to him of having to overcome challenges that you never thought you'd have, and certainly no one had planned for a situation that we have faced here over the last several months. So Bob got together with Taylor designer Andy Powers and said, why don't we come up with a guitar design that is a stripped down version of our Grand Pacific line and really offer a high value guitar that we're going to build in the El Cajon, California shop rather than the Tecate, Mexico shop where some of the other entry-level Taylor guitars are built, and make a guitar that's really a high-value guitar for players that, given the economic circumstances of these times, may not be able to afford one of our higher-end guitars, and really build a guitar that is the ultimate in value for a Taylor guitar. And the result is this American Dream series. And eventually, I think they're going to come out with some of the other body shapes and models within this line. This is from the very first batch of these guitars. And I think it's a very cool guitar. As I mentioned, it's kind of a stripped-down design. It kind of fits in between the 200 and 300 series of the existing Taylor lines. It's all solid woods. In this case, it's Ovancoal back and sides. And Ovancoal is a wood that Taylor has long used for its 400 series guitars. It's often compared to Indian rosewood in its tonality. And this is the first Grand Pacific size guitar that's been built with Ovancoal. So that's another very cool aspect of it. The guitar has a solid Sitka spruce top. In this case, it has the optional black top finish. There's also a natural version of this available. This black finish looks very cool, I think. It's a matte finish. And the guitar is simplified in some ways. There's no binding on the body, even though I think it's very cool how they've stopped the black finish around here, so you sort of get the impression that there's a lighter colored binding on the top. It's got the chamfered edges that were first introduced with some of the Builder's Edition guitars, so very comfortable to hold. The guitar uses eucalyptus for its fingerboard and bridge, and I haven't seen that on a Taylor guitar before. Looks very nice. Looks a little bit like Indian rosewood might look, a little bit lighter colored than an ebony fingerboard and bridge might look. Eucalyptus is also used for the Peghead faceplate up here. But what's really the most important about this guitar is that sort of under the hood, the architecture of it is according to Taylor's most recent designs. It's got the V-Class bracing inside, and it's really built like other Grand Pacifics would be built. So in terms of the tonality, the construction of the guitar, it's really stripped down rather than simplified, if we might call it like that. It has back bracing, doesn't have the arched back that some of the entry-level Taylors like the Baby Taylor has. So it's a real Taylor guitar in a stripped-down format built in the El Cajon plant. And as such, it really kind of reminds me of the original 400 series that came out in the early 90s. I think it was 1991. That was the first time that Taylor has came out with a guitar that was kind of simplified, that was meant to offer a lot of value to the players. And that guitar really revolutionized what an entry-level American-built solid wood guitar could look like. And a lot of Taylor's success was built on that instrument. And so it's really very cool to see Taylor doing a similar approach with these guitars. There are some new things that I hadn't seen before. An all solid wood guitar with the simplified binding and satin finish isn't something we've seen for a while, but it certainly is something that brings a lot of the things that make Taylor's cool to a price range that is highly affordable. So the Grand Pacific models, of course, use a modified slope shoulder dreadnought design, and that gives them a little bit of a vintage vibe in some ways. It's a well-known format. But of course, inside the guitar is very different from any kind of vintage or classic guitar in that it uses the V-class bracing rather than the more traditional X bracing. And it has all of Taylor's other sort of innovations like the NT neck and lots of different construction details that have been taken from Taylor's existing designs for this American Dream series. Now, the Grand Pacifics are known for being powerful guitars, great for flat picking and strumming, and you kind of heard me strumming these open chords. The guitar is quite loud here in the studio. Sounds great for single note lines as well. It's quite lovely to fingerpick as well. If I'm going to drop D tuning here a little bit, it has, even though it's really kind of has a great voice for being flat picked and driven a little harder, it still has a nice voice for playing fingerstyle on it as well. So you can tell the guitar sounds great for playing fingerstyle. It's got a lovely response. It's a lot of fun to play that way. And of course, it's got the Taylor typical neck dimensions, which have always been fairly fingerstyle friendly. It's got a nut width of 1 3/4 inches and just a very comfortable profile all around. The typical Taylor neck profiles. If you've played any Taylor recently, this is going to be very similar in feel to that. This particular guitar came without any onboard electronics. It's acoustic only, but these AD17 Blacktops are available with Taylor's full ES2 electronics with the bridge-mounted pickup and the onboard controls. So that would yet be an added value if you're going to use the guitar to perform with. But it's also very nice to see Taylor really stripping this down and offering them as full acoustic instruments. So that's the new Taylor AD17 Blacktop. As I mentioned, it was first introduced as part of a trio of guitars. The same guitar as this with a natural top, and then there is a guitar with a mahogany top as well. We hope to be able to check that out sometime soon. And I believe Taylor is planning on expanding the series into some of the other body styles, so it's definitely something to watch for. So overall, these new American Dream Taylor guitars are an amazing value, really great guitars. If you've been hoping to get into an all-solid wood US-made Taylor, but just couldn't make the financial jump into it, this is really a great chance to get into that, and I recommend you check them out at your Taylor dealer. Please come back here to Peghead Nation for more of our gear demos. My name is Teja Gerken.